Okay, this is City the Beatmaster. We're back again with another tutorial on finger drumming. Today I want to show you a couple of techniques that I pretty much invented and incorporate into my finger drumming routines. I've named these two techniques. The first technique I would like to show you is called the royal wave. Now let's focus on my right hand. Have you ever seen videos of royalty or those people that are princesses, princes, and kings? You ever see them wave to a crowd? It kind of is a motion like this. Kind of just float on by and wave to the people. That's why I call it the royal wave. It's a technique that I use, and that's what it reminds me of. The second technique I like to call the shoe, which is not a shoe that you wear on your feet. It's kind of like when you see an animal, a dog, or some form of animal, and you tell them to shoo or get away, they're getting too close. That's why I like to call that technique the shoe. So the royal wave and the shoe technique are two motions that I use a lot in my finger drumming performances and routines. And it really helps me move across the pads quicker and get a more accurate and faster drumming routine created. So let's show you how it works. Okay, so let's demonstrate the royal wave technique. On pad 3, I have an 808 drum sound. And on pad 12, I have a cowbell. Let's just focus on these two pads for now. Let's demonstrate the royal wave technique. So, like I said, it's like that waving motion, but if you were to apply it to the pads, remember pad 3, I'm going to extend my thumb just a little bit from where it would be if I was doing royal wave. So let's extend the thumb a tad bit and focus on pad 3. My thumb is the only finger that is touching the pads. Everything else is raised a little bit above the pads. So let's go ahead and try that wave. So with my thumb resting on pad 3, I want to come up and down. Now, you shouldn't be using much arm bending or arm motions. This should be all coming from your wrist. It's the only thing that should be moving. So that is the royal wave technique. As you can see, you can move pretty fast using that technique while finger drumming. Now let's talk a little bit about the shoe. The shoe technique. Like I said, it's kind of like a get out of here or move along type of wrist motion and finger movement. This one's a little bit more tricky when applying to the pads. What you want to do is get into that shoe motion with your hand. But while you're shoeing, you want to focus on that down and upward motion of your hand. You don't really want to go too crazy. You just really want to focus on those 4 fingers that are moving up and down. But I still call it the shoe because it's a sideward type of a motion with your hand. Like if you were telling someone to shoo or back off. But focus on that movement of your hands going back and forth in that motion, but your fingers swaying back and forth or turn to the pads down and up. Notice how this is different from the royal wave technique. which was a back and forth, almost like a left and right type of movement. So with the shoe, we're coming down and up. Shoe away. So let's demonstrate the shoe. Shoe, get out of here. You see, it's the same motion. It's the same motion. Now your hand can turn a little bit towards the side while trying to shoe a little bit faster. So that's why I like to call it the shoe technique and the royal wave technique. Combining the two can make for an interesting combination. With the shoe and the royal wave technique, you'll notice that I can get from pad 1 to pad 16 pretty fast without much movement. Now that's a technique that you're going to have to work on to perfect, but I would generally use this technique on slower rhythms if I needed to get from pad 1 to pad 16. So let's try the shoe and an actual finger drumming routine. I'm just going to do some random notes here to show you how this technique works in action once you fully mastered it. So I want you guys to focus on the right hand only. I will be playing some notes with the left hand, but the focus right now should be the right hand. We'll tackle everything about the left hand later. And of course, all of this is in reverse if your hand is not dominant with your right. So my right hand is my dominant hand. If your dominant hand is your left hand, everything will definitely have to be in reverse. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so that was just a little demonstration of how you can utilize the royal wave technique in the shoe to enhance your finger drumming and become a master of finger drumming.